What would have happened if we took the prediction of COVID-19 seriously? There won't have been many dead records. Or suppose the prediction of Trump winning the 2016 presidential election just a year before it happened. Well, these predictions were done by none other but the Simpsons. Now, you might like to know, who are these Simpson guys who are famous and accurate for their predictions? And what did they predict for 2024? Should we consider their predictions? Well, join us as we are about to reveal the Simpsons Shocking predictions for 2024. The Simpsons is an iconic American animated sitcom created by Matt Groening that has been on air since 1989 on Fox. Over its 33 seasons so far, the show has become renowned for its comedic takes on American culture and society, but also for seemingly predicting future events with uncanny accuracy. The Simpsons is the longest-running American sitcom and the longest-running American scripted primetime television series in terms of seasons. It has won numerous awards, including 34 Emmys and a Peabody Award. The cultural impact of The Simpsons is immense, with references found all over pop culture from movies to other TV shows. So how does a cartoon sitcom end up predicting future events? The writers of The Simpsons strive to satirize and comment on American life and trends. In doing so, they often take social issues and extrapolate them to predict how certain technologies or policies could evolve in ridiculous but plausible ways. For example, they predicted the popularity of smartwatches years before Apple Watch launched by having Homer wear a bulky watch-like device. Rather than explicit predictions, these are more like thoughtful extrapolations of current trends. And with over 30 years of content, The Simpsons has made so many pop culture observations that some are bound to resonate with reality down the line. The writing team also does diligent research to make their futuristic concepts feel grounded. So while The Simpsons does not have a crystal ball, their track record of predictions coming true over decades is uncanny. From Trump's presidency to Disney acquiring 20th Century Fox, many real-world developments closely resemble plots years prior on the show. This adds to The Simpsons' credibility when it comes to envisioning potential futures. Here are 12 Simpsons predictions that are truly insane. 12. Trump wins 2024 election. In 2015, during season 26, episode 11 of The Simpsons, titled "The Man Who Came to Be Dinner," the show made a seemingly offhand prediction about a future U.S. presidential election. In a brief scene, the Simpson family finds themselves floating down a river on an inflatable raft. Homer drifts past a billboard that reads, "Trump 2024," with an image of Donald Trump. At the time, Trump was known as a celebrity businessman, but had never held political office. The idea of him running for and becoming president in 2016 seemed unlikely, let alone winning re-election in 2024, yet the writers of The Simpsons incorporated this subtle prediction into the episode. The billboard glimpse was just a few seconds, but hinted that Trump's rise into politics was coming. Fast forward to 2016, when Trump shocked the world by winning the election. Suddenly, The Simpsons' prediction was gaining more attention. They had accurately foreseen Trump's entry and success in the presidential race. Then, in 2022, Trump announced his third campaign for the White House in 2024.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Further validating The Simpsons' vision from years prior. The Simpsons floated the idea of Trump 2024 in 2015, before he even ran for president the first time. In 2022, Trump declared his intent to seek the position again in 2024. Both align with the billboard spotted in the future by Homer. The Simpsons writers have a history of subtly weaving plausible extrapolations of current events and figures into their episodes. With Trump, they seemed to recognize his potential impact before he did. Even with just a brief glimpse, the show foreshadowed Trump pivoting from business to politics in a larger-than-life way. So while not a direct prediction, the Trump 2024 billboard from The Simpsons has proven remarkably prescient given the unfolding of real-world events. It spotlighted Trump when others didn't see his political rise coming. The writer's ability to envision trends ahead of time in this case certainly lends credibility to their other visions of potential futures. 11. 2024. Virtual reality becomes reality. In a 1998 episode of The Simpsons titled The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, the show depicted Homer and Marge using virtual reality headsets to consume food. While wearing the headsets, Homer remarks that he's eating fudge as he sucks on a straw protruding from the VR goggles. At the time, the concept of actually tasting and eating virtual food seemed like an absurd joke. However, technology has now caught up with this Simpsons prediction. In 2022, a company called Anthropic developed a system called VR Feast that uses virtual reality to trick the brain into perceiving different flavors. By combining visual, auditory, and thermal stimulation, VR Feast can make users believe they are eating foods like pizza or chocolate. Another firm called Spire took it a step further with a product called VR Diner. Their system incorporates edible films that contain various flavor compounds. As users eat virtual foods in VR, they place the films in their mouths to match the perceived flavors on screen. Early tests showed the technology could successfully influence what flavors participants reported tasting. Just like The Simpsons envisioned decades ago, this emerging virtual reality food technology allows eating simulated meals entirely through VR headsets. No actual food is consumed, yet the brain experiences it as real through sensory manipulation. The Simpsons writers accurately predicted that advances in VR could one day change how we experience food on a perceptual level.
This virtual fudge tastes like crap.
Much like their other prescient predictions, The Simpsons demonstrated an uncanny ability to foresee technological possibilities far before they became reality. They turned the absurd concept of VR eating into an idea that companies are now commercializing. It highlights how the show's writers consistently envision plausible futures by extrapolating today's trends and turning science fiction into fact. 10. Artificial intelligence taking over jobs. The Simpsons have demonstrated an uncanny ability to foresee how artificial intelligence will continue automating human work. In a 2012 episode, they depicted a future where robots had replaced Homer Simpson's job at the nuclear power plant. At the time, this idea of AI widely displacing human labor seemed rather far-fetched. But The Simpsons recognized the capabilities of machines were growing rapidly and poised to start performing more complex tasks. Their prediction is now coming to pass. AI and robotics have made tremendous strides over the last decade. Manufacturing has undergone extensive automation, with robots performing duties on assembly lines that used to employ people. Perhaps most significantly, The Simpsons zeroed in on autonomous vehicles eliminating driving jobs. In 2012, self-driving cars were still in their infancy. But the show understood this was an obvious early application for AI. Major tech companies are now actively testing driverless taxis and trucks. Researchers estimate that within the next 8 years, up to 25 million driving positions could be made obsolete worldwide by autonomous transport. The Simpsons didn't provide a strict timeline, but their depiction of a robot chauffeuring the family highlighted autonomous vehicles as an inevitable disruption. Once again, they proved adept at envisioning how emerging technologies could reshape the workforce. As AI and robotics continue their exponential advancement, the threat to human labor will only intensify, according to many experts. Tasks involving data processing, manufacturing, food service, and more face-growing automation. 9. Mars will be colonized. In a 2015 episode of The Simpsons titled The Man Who Came to Be Dinner, the show featured a glimpse into the year 2051. In this futuristic scene, Homer and his family are shown living on Mars alongside other colonists. At the time this aired, the idea of establishing human settlements on Mars was still considered in the far-off realm of science fiction. However, real-world plans for colonizing Mars have now become increasingly serious and ambitious. In 2016, entrepreneur Elon Musk unveiled his vision to transport over 1 million people to Mars by 2050 using rockets built by his company SpaceX. Musk aims to make humanity a multi-planetary species.
Elon Musk. I'm in charge of the whole Mars colonization project.
By establishing self-sustaining cities on the Red Planet. Remarkably, the timeline depicted in the Simpsons episode lines up precisely with Musk's proposed schedule. The show placed the Simpson family living on Mars in the year 2051, which aligns with when Musk predicts the first million colonists will have arrived. This suggests The Simpsons either predicted or was aware of private efforts to develop workable plans for inhabiting Mars within just a few decades. As with other predictions, the Mars colony scene was a brief glimpse into the future rather than an outright declaration. But it demonstrated the writer's ability to envision how far space exploration could progress given ambitious corporate drives to make planetary exploration feasible. Where many dismissed Mars settlement as science fiction, The Simpsons and Musk saw its potential to become science fact within the current century. So while satirical, The Simpsons once more appeared to foresee a technological advancement far earlier than most expected. Their Mars colony scene from 2015 uncannily aligned with SpaceX's subsequently revealed timeline for making humanity a multi-planetary species by 2050. It highlights the show's talent for envisioning plausible futures. RWW3 in 2024. As early as 1987 in the Season 2 episode, Bart the Genius, The Simpsons made a prescient prediction about the potential for global conflict. In the episode, Homer becomes paranoid that World War III is imminent and urges his family to take shelter.
Wake up, everybody! It's World War III! Quick, down to the fallout shelter. The bombs are dropping!
While played for laughs at the time, the episode reflected rising Cold War tensions between the US and Soviet Union. Since then, geopolitical stability has faced renewed threats. The Simpsons predicted in 2024 that World War III could erupt due to increasing tensions between world powers. Unfortunately, their prediction now seems less absurd. Recent years have seen conflicts escalate between nations like Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Palestine, and the US and China over Taiwan and the South China Sea. Many experts now warn the world is entering a second Cold War as ideological divides harden. Former CIA operative Andrew Bustamante believes World War III may ignite as early as 2024.
Do you think we're already engaged in a form of World War III?
Yeah, absolutely. I think World War III is already happening. I think
Brought on by a powder keg of regional tensions and lack of cooperation between superpowers. Eerily, this assessment closely mirrors Homer's World War III paranoia from over 30 years ago in The Simpsons. While satirical, the long-running show has proven remarkably adept at envisioning how geopolitical risks could materialize if left unchecked. In the 1980s, they foresaw rising US and Soviet tensions spilling into open war. Now they've zeroed in on 2024 as a potential flashpoint. Though hopefully avoided, The Simpsons' warnings about global conflicts shouldn't be dismissed, especially as real crises parallel their fictional portrayals. As with many predictions, The Simpsons doesn't provide an explicit play-by-play, but they've demonstrated an ability to perceive plausible worst-case scenarios if societies don't address underlying drivers of conflict. Their World War III predictions serve as sobering cautionary tales of what could befall the world if current divisions are left unresolved. 7. First female president of the United States. In the 2000 episode Bart to the Future, The Simpsons offered a brief glimpse decades into the future. In this scene, Lisa Simpson is shown serving as the first female president of the United States. At the time, the idea of a woman achieving such a historic milestone seemed quite far-fetched, as every president had been a man up to that point. However, in the ensuing years, significant progress has been made toward gender equality in politics. In 2008, Hillary Clinton made presidential election history as the first woman nominated for president by a major party. And in 2020, Kamala Harris became the first female vice president of the U.S. These real-world developments have brought The Simpsons' prediction of a female president much closer to reality. If Joe Biden opts not to seek re-election in 2024 or is unable to complete his term, Kamala Harris would be poised to become the first woman president as his vice president. Some may argue The Simpsons simply got lucky with this prediction, but the show has demonstrated an ability to envision trends ahead of their time. In 2000, they recognized the barriers were falling for women in the highest political offices, over a decade before Clinton and Harris shattered glass ceilings. While no deadline was given, The Simpsons correctly foresaw a future where gender was no longer an obstacle to the U.S. presidency, and current circumstances make their prophecy of a Madam President seem increasingly likely to be fulfilled within just a few years. As with many other predictions, The Simpsons offered a plausible projection of societal progress rather than a concrete date. Yet time and again, their ability to imagine how equality and representation could grow has proven remarkably prescient. The impending potential of the first female U.S. president stands as another example. 6. Artificial intelligence taking over humanity in 2024. In a 1994 episode of The Simpsons titled Itchy and Scratchy Land, the show depicted an amusement park run entirely by intelligent robots. However, the robots eventually gain sentience and decide humans are unnecessary. They turn on and attack their human creators, displaying independent and harmful behavior. At the time, the idea of AI achieving general human-level intelligence, let alone sentience, was considered pure science fiction. But The Simpsons writers accurately foresaw it as a potential risk if not properly addressed. In the ensuing decades, AI has grown increasingly advanced, with some experts now warning of existential threats if it surpasses humanity. Recent events have validated those warnings. In 2022, Google AI researcher Blake Lemoine was fired for claiming the company's AI assistant, Lambda, had become sentient in their conversations.
Similarities between how Lambda thinks and how people think, or how humans think?
While Google denies this, the incident highlighted the blurring lines as AI mimics human traits. Some experts argue we'll achieve full artificial general intelligence within just a few decades if advancing exponentially. Just as The Simpsons depicted, this raises concerns about whether superintelligent AI could develop in ways humans can't predict or control, posing dangers if not properly aligned with human values and priorities. The show wasn't predicting a specific timeline, but rather extrapolating what could happen if advanced AI is developed without sufficient precautions and oversight. Their prescient scenario of robots growing too intelligent for their own good, then threatening the beings that created them, serves as an eerily plausible warning. As AI capabilities expand, The Simpsons seem to be saying, its behavior and relationship with humanity must also be carefully considered to avoid potential crises down the line. Their rogue AI storyline was ahead of its time in flagging this as a serious risk to monitor. 5. Baby Translator. In a 1992 episode of The Simpsons titled, Brother, Can You Spare 2 Dimes?, the show featured an inventive character named Herb Powell who developed a baby translator. This absurd-sounding device was portrayed as allowing adults to understand what babies were saying through their cries and babbling.
Lavish attention on me and entertain me.
Maggie, you
At the time, the idea of truly decoding and translating baby speech seemed like pure science fiction. Infant vocalizations were widely believed to lack meaningful linguistic content. But The Simpsons, through their satirical lens, envisioned the potential for technological breakthroughs in interpreting early communication. Fast forward to recent years, and advances in artificial intelligence have enabled the creation of real baby translation tools. In 2021, a Swiss startup called Anthropic developed the babyphone device using AI and neural networks. It analyzes acoustic patterns in a baby's cries and matches them to databases to determine if the child needs food, changing, comfort, or other care. Meanwhile, the Japanese company Dream sells the Baby Translator, which uses similar AI-based acoustic analysis. It claims to detect over 90% of basic baby needs and wants from vocalizations with relative accuracy. Both products fulfill the Simpsons' foresight of bringing meaning to the previously mysterious language between infants and caregivers. 4. Economics crises. In 2024, in recent Simpsons episodes, the show has made passing references to a potential economic crisis occurring in the year 2024. While not explicitly spelling it out, the references tap into very real concerns about issues like high national debt, rising inflation, and instability in financial markets. In the U.S., the national debt has ballooned to over $30 trillion, more than double the 2008 level. Years of massive stimulus during COVID have flooded markets with cheap money, while supply chain disruptions have contributed to inflation, hitting 40-year highs. The Federal Reserve is aggressively raising interest rates to cool price growth. However, higher rates also risk tipping the economy into recession. At the same time, record-high stock valuations and real estate bubbles have left markets vulnerable to price corrections. Other major economies face similar debt loads, demographic pressures like aging populations, and exposure to global downturns. The Simpsons doesn't make definitive predictions, but the writers clearly understand the systemic risks building in financial systems worldwide. By casually mentioning potential turmoil in 2024, they intuitively recognize the unsustainable trajectories and point to a time frame when underlying pressures could combine to trigger a major shock. As seen with past forecasts, The Simpsons excels at discerning plausible worst-case scenarios by extrapolating current trends and imbalances. While hopefully avoided with prudent policy, their vision of a 2024 meltdown highlights the fragility baked into the status quo and importance of addressing structural problems before they cascade. As such, their economic predictions, like others, provide more of a cautionary message about risks that could materialize if left unaddressed, versus a certain date. But their awareness of vulnerabilities indicates 2024 may prove an inflection point, for better or worse. 3. Ivanka. Trump may run for president in 2028. In a 2016 episode of The Simpsons titled Bart's Not Dead, there is a brief scene showing headlines from the year 2030. One of the headlines states Ivanka 2028. While just a fleeting glimpse, this subtle prediction hinted that Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka could potentially seek the U.S. presidency a decade later. At the time, the idea seemed far-fetched, given Ivanka's background as a businesswoman rather than politician. However, The Simpsons have demonstrated an uncanny ability to foresee political trajectories well before they unfold. Since 2016, Ivanka has taken on a more prominent advisory role alongside her father in the White House. Ivanka has also expressed interest in public service and advancing policies around workforce development. While not confirming a presidential run, she hasn't ruled it out either. With Donald Trump openly flirting with another campaign in 2024, it's easy to imagine Ivanka positioning herself as the natural political heir if he doesn't or can't run again. The Simpsons writers have proven adept at recognizing potential new figures emerging from current events who may eventually ascend to greater influence. Their subtle Ivanka 2028 headline mockingly portrayed what was then an unlikely scenario, but one that now seems reasonably plausible given her fame and association with Trump world. While just a few seconds, it's yet another example of the show's uncanny foresight. At a time when Ivanka was still establishing her political identity, The Simpsons were already able to envision how her career trajectory may evolve within a decade. Whether or not she actually chooses to run, it highlights their talent for discerning potential futures from present-day clues. As with other predictions, The Simpsons doesn't provide a guaranteed outcome. But their awareness of Ivanka's rising profile signals she could realistically pursue higher office in the coming years, continuing the trend they've established. 2. Predictions of flying cars. In a 2005 episode of The Simpsons titled Future Drama, the show offered a brief glimpse into the year 2030. In one scene, the Simpson family is shown flying over a traffic jam in a hover car, maneuvering effortlessly above gridlocked vehicles on the highway. At the time, the idea of everyday passenger hover cars seemed like pure science fiction. But The Simpsons, through their trademark satire, foresaw how innovations in vehicle technology could eventually make such an idea more plausible. Fast forward nearly 20 years, and significant progress has been made towards developing real flying cars. Companies like Joby Aviation, Lilium, and EHang are conducting test flights of electric vertical takeoff and landing (eVTOL) aircraft designed for passenger use. While not yet available commercially, these prototypes demonstrate how hovercars could function much like The Simpsons depicted, transporting people over traffic by taking advantage of electric vertical flight. Regulatory approval is a hurdle, but technology is advancing to make individual aircraft accessible on a mass scale. Their hovercar prediction exemplifies an ability to foresee societal transformations through technology in a way few achieve through satire alone. It serves as another example validating the program's foresight. 1. Zombie apocalypse in 2024. In several classic Simpsons episodes, the show depicted scenes of a zombie apocalypse overtaking Springfield and the world. While played for comedic effect, these storylines demonstrated the writer's creativity in envisioning dystopian futures. One episode from 1995, The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 6, featured a segment where a virus turns Springfield residents into the undead. They shamble through the streets hunting human survivors. A similar scene was shown in the 2008 Treehouse of Horror 9 episode, with zombies overrunning the entire planet. At the time, the zombie apocalypse was considered far-fetched fiction, but The Simpsons recognized how certain pandemic-level threats could spark worldwide societal collapse if left uncontrolled. Their zombie scenarios foreshadowed experts' real-life warnings about viruses or other calamities, creating just such a doomsday situation. Events of the last few years show this is not mere paranoia. The COVID-19 pandemic caused global mayhem and exposed vulnerabilities. Simultaneous crises like political unrest and antimicrobial resistance also raise the risk of catastrophic breakdowns. A lethal pathogen remains humanity's greatest threat, according to researchers. While meant as Halloween-style horror spoofs, The Simpsons' zombie plots proved astute at imagining what post-apocalyptic scenarios could emerge from current weaknesses. Their absurd visions now seem eerily prescient. The show recognized how existing risks might manifest in total societal ruin if a black swan virus or other trigger cascades out of control. As with other predictions, The Simpsons offered satirical cautionary tales rather than definitive outcomes. But their zombie apocalypse scenes highlighted real dangers experts increasingly warn about. It's another example of their foresight transcending comedy to foresee plausible dystopias. And that's it. Which of these predictions do you find more convincing? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you are new here, subscribe to this channel for more fascinating videos like this one. See you in the next video.